Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I will teach you how you can edit, create your own, or even give you some free sprites that you can use for RPG Maker MV and MSet. I will also teach you about sprite sheets and how to implement your own art into your projects. This is a beginner's friendly guide. You don't need to be an artist to be able to do any of the things that I will show you. And yeah, so first of all, you need to get rid of this horrible white background. The dark themed one is a lot sexier. And I know that was off topic, but now you know. So, the simplest way to add a custom character if you're not that skilled in drawing your own from scratch is making a nude character in the character generator. You can do this in both MV and MSet. If you're not that skilled, it would actually be smart to just use this as a template for your entire project. So, name him something like template and export him to the character folder. Now just click game and then open the game folder. Locate the image folder and then the character folder. The character should now be located in this folder. You can actually now just edit this character and draw clothing or hair or whatever on top of him. And that's an easy way to make custom art. Also, when you are making characters for RPG Maker, MV or MSet, every image should be the exact same size as the images from the RTP. So when you edit one of these images, it will end up being the exact size every image needs to be. I did a little Sean Connery there. And again, every image you make for your project, the grid should be set to 48 by 48. Um, and that's the same exact grid size that you use inside of the game engine itself. When you put out events, you see these small little squares. That's the same size as this grid, so that is very important. Also, the character images move from, if you for instance click down, the character images will loop from the middle one to the left one and then to the one on the far right. And if you click to the left, it will go in the same way. Also, it is very important that you draw within the grid. Keep the image positioned exactly the same way in each grid, and I will tell you why later. But if you for instance try to make this character taller, and his head would go outside of the grid, part of his head would then show in the walking down image when you're walking down. So keep your art inside of the grid. And if you don't want to draw the characters yourself, there's always options for just editing the characters that already exist. For instance, using the cartoon filter in GIMP. You can change their appearance quite drastically. You can also play around with changing around the colors and just keeping your characters unique that way, if you don't want to draw them yourself. Okay, so I'm just gonna delete these now and try to show you how you would go about if you wanted to draw a sprite from scratch on your own. Also, I've forgotten to tell you that I am using GIMP 2 and it's free. I recommend using the same software as me if you're gonna watch all of these episodes about custom art, because then you can just follow along what I am doing. I will of course leave a link in the description below. So when you're making the character, make sure that you use the circle tool to get the nice shapes. Add a circle for the head and a circle for the body. Use 100 opacity and then the bucket tool and just fill it in with distinct colors. I'm using very random colors here, but my point is start drawing the character very simple, like a circle character, like I'm creating here, it sort of look like some sort of alien or cave dwelling beast. And yeah, first just use basic colors and later fill in the details. I usually uh, like to put, for instance, lighter skin colors on the far left on his body to make it look as if light is shining on him. And then I use darker colors on the right side. That's how I go about it. Yeah, so what I'm saying is start very basic and then go from there. Add little details one by one until you feel satisfied. Um, it, you could also make copies of him and try out different things and just see what you think will work best. The cartoon filter in Game 2 often work in your favor if you start drawing the character basic, like I just did now, and then you can just use it to fill in some detail, like here. So, start basic, add little details one by one. And later I can show you a smart way. If you want, for instance, this character to be able to move, I will show you how you can draw that, because now we only have an idle animation. And for the character we created in the beginning, the nude character from the character generator, this is also a nice way. If you don't feel you are capable of drawing something from scratch, you can just use this as a template and add details on top of it. For instance, here I can just draw my own eye. I will draw him very silly, but maybe like a clown face. Uh, but my point is, a lot of games you're not going to make maybe a AAA game in RPG Maker um, anyway. So why don't you just go ahead and make something funny or something that look a bit different, right? So don't be afraid to use this template to just draw on eyes, draw on clothing, make funny hairstyles, and just draw characters like this. I'm gonna add a nose. Yeah, so don't be afraid to just go ahead and do that, because a lot of RPG Maker games could have been so much more fun and entertaining if little details like this was added. And you don't need to be able to you don't need to know anything about drawing to do this, really. Just follow what I'm doing here, and you should be good. If you, for instance, want to make a comedy game, this is something I would recommend highly. You can try out the cartoon filter. Maybe this, well, looks a bit better, I guess. Oh yeah, and use the square tool to mark his head, and then just Control C to just copy his head, and then Control V again after to just place it on each of the images, so you don't need to draw him 3 times in a row. And yeah, lastly, if you don't want to draw or use the RPG Maker RTP character, I did an edit on the RTP character and made him sort of my own that you can use yourself. But all you need to do then is go to the link in the description below. Go to our Discord channel. That's the channel for supporting our game. Go to the channel here and then click him and download the image. Name him something easy to remember. Place him maybe on the desktop because it's easy to find afterwards. And then you just download it and then copy the image and then place it within the game folder. And the best way to do that is to just go directly into RPG Maker MZ, click game, then open folder, and that's the game folder. Go to image and character, and then just paste the character there. And now you actually have this character inside of the game. So if we just test that, I'm used to MV, not MZ. Yeah, hey, here he is. Yeah. And now that you got him, with this character, I can show you how I would go about if I wanted to, because having a template character like this is very good, because all you would need to do when making a new character is just add a new piece of clothing and then a new piece of hairstyle, maybe change the eye color and maybe add a beard or whatever. It's very easy to go about making new characters when you have a functioning template. So that's what you can use this character for. So just use the square tool, mark the character, and then paste him with Control V. And when making hair for the character, you would have the opacity at 100%. Use 1 pixel in the size of the pencil, because it's easier to work with when making pixel art. Draw the hair, um, well, the shape of it, like you would want it to be. Like, make it poke out this from place to place. Just make the shape of the hair like this. And then take a different, darker shade of the same color. But then you can't use the opacity at 100% like I did here, because it looks weird. Take it down to maybe about 50%, and then just add little details one by one. And now that the opacity is down at 50%, you can actually draw within the same spot several times. You just add different shades of the color and make it look more detailed. There should be a darker color around the start of the hairline, and you should have a lighter color at the top of the hairline, well, at the top of the hairs, and it looks good. Well, it doesn't need a lot of hair. It's pretty simple to draw, as you just saw. Just try to follow exactly what I just did, and you would most likely end up with something looking like this. And for his clothing, I'm just gonna use a simple color like red, and then just use a lower opacity so you can make several strokes at the same spot. You can even maybe take up the size a bit if you want to do it faster. And just stroll along, fill in where you want his sweater to be, or jacket, or armor, or whatever he's wearing, and just keep going at it. And like I would do with, oh yeah, for his pants, maybe a blue color. And yeah, like I did with the cave dwelling beast alien earlier, you would want to do lighter colors on the left side and darker colors on the um, right side. Yeah, and this is it. Doesn't take much more work than this, boys and girls. I know it looks a bit shabby still, so you can just add in the lighter colors on the left side, like I did with the alien thingy, and darker colors on, like, let's say his right arm and the right side of his torso. After you've done that, something I sometimes do is I usually, because I want to use maybe a filter on his body but not on his head. So before I use the filter, I make a copy of his head, and then I apply the filter on his body. You will see what I mean here. So I copy the head and I move it here, and then I just use the filter on him like this, and I find something I like for his clothing to look better, and then afterwards I would just copy his head again and then place it back, because now his face looks very blurry. Some people might like that, so just go ahead if you do, but I like the face to be a bit cleaner or clearer, if I am able to pronounce that word. I am still a Norwegian, and it's hard for me to pronounce certain English words. And that's the voice I used to do when I did the tutorials back in the day. Also, the music in the background is from our game, NoLoot Studios. The game is called, A Broken Tale, and the music composer is very talented. I will leave a link in the description below with his name, of course, Haakon Davidsen. It would be nice if you checked out our game. We got some videos on our channel, and the game is still being worked on. We've had a little break because one of the programmers are pretty busy working on other games, but we will get back to it soon. So hopefully you will stay around for that and not only the tutorials. Mm. So what I'm doing here is that I'm making Frankenstein out of the character. So you could copy like his arm and just place it on one of the walk images on the top left here from the nude sprites, and then later just place his head on top of that. But it's actually no point. Some people find this way easier because they find Game 2 very hard, and if people are new to it, they are afraid to try to just draw something on their own. If you're gonna do it this way, I wouldn't really recommend it. You will make sure that the hand that's supposed to be in the back has a darker shade than the hand that is supposed to be pointing towards you. So it looks as if one of the, like the right hand here, is behind his back, and his left hand here is in front of it. So that's important. But if you just use the same shades of color here, you can really just draw the clothing from scratch on each image, because this is very simple clothing, so you don't really need to keep any of the details. As long as it's the same color, it will look like as if it's moving anyway, so it won't look weird if you drew it from scratch. But yeah, I showed you anyway. You can make the character like this. And I made a great mistake of drawing him on top of the other one, so don't do that. This was just to show you, and I will delete this one later. You can also use the smudge tool to just even out the colors. If something seems, well, if something doesn't look pixelated correctly, you can use the smudge tool to just even out the colors a bit. So that's smart. Yeah, and yeah, let's just move his arm a little pixel to the left. So this would work as his walking animation, and you could use the tool option in Game 2 and just flip the image for the different, so for the third image. A simple way of making his walking left would be to make like sort of the same Frankenstein method. Just copy parts of the main image we did just now on top of the walking left one, and when you finished the walking left one, you can use the tool in GIMP to just flip the image, and you've made the walking right one. So that's an easy way to do this. And for the walking up image is always the easiest, because you don't need like all of the details from the face. You would just have to make the hair, sort of like I did earlier, where you keep the darker colors in the middle going up to the top of the head, and then lighter colors on the left side, darker colors on the right side. So you would just make a big like hair dot, and his clothing would be maybe two colors, a little of the back and his feet. So the walking up image is very easy to make. And if this character, for instance, were an NPC and didn't really need to walk in your game, it would be nice to just keep 3 images of him being idle, just standing there like this. The only thing you would make sure to do is to make sure that the left and right image is 1 pixel um, below the middle image, because then it will look like as if it's breathing. Okay, so just export the image, name it something you will remember. Random names are never welcomed, because sometimes you will look, when you made a lot of characters, you will actually look for a long time to find a certain character that you want to add. So just keep nice names, so you'll find them, you know. And also make sure that the file is a PNG, because JPG or whatever they are called doesn't actually work in RPG Maker. You need PNG files. Okay, capiche? And here are the characters. So that's pretty much all you gotta do to make custom art. You can even go even more simple than I did here. Make less details on the characters, because making characters that look insanely good might be cool, but you would also have to draw a lot for many hours. So simple characters, if you're a solo developer, is always a good idea, unless you're very artsy. And if you are like me, when I started making art for my games myself, I would always find it really hard to make them animate. You could just, if you're making an RPG Maker game, just for instance use do the Frankenstein method like I did, and just take parts of the RTP character's body and place them on top of your own, to give them, for instance, feet and arms for a walking animation, and just change the colors around to make them fit with the color tool in GIMP or whatever software you are using. Like this, I haven't even changed the colors around yet, but still you can see where I'm going with this. This would have worked. This would have animated as if he was walking. So this is also a neat little trick you can do, but make sure that the colors fit. I made a very bad decision going for the colors that I did with that alien thingy. Also, you can change small details like oopsie doopsie, like changing eye colors with the color tool. So if you just use the square tool and mark the eyeball, you can just use the color tool to change the. Okay, I'm messing up away. You can you can use this tool to just change the colors of his eyes, like I'm doing here. Hopefully, yeah. Take up the chroma or whatever it's called, change the hue, and now they are different. Copy that, paste it. You can even have it like this, so if you want the character to look a certain direction, and have a different image when he's looking straight ahead, like this. Use the flip tool to just flip it, and I easily get very much a lot of OCD, so make sure to remove small pixels like that. That's important. And if you wanna just draw the character yourself, for the clothing for each animation, well, you can just use the click O when you're inside of GIMP, and you get the selection tool for colors, and you just click on whatever color you want, and always use one of the colors that are actually on the character, and then you can just start drawing the sweater again. He's facing another direction anyway, so if it doesn't fit perfectly with how it looks when it's facing down, it doesn't really matter, as long as you're using the same colors. And as I said earlier, this hand here is in the back, so you need to take down the lightness so it looks darker, so it looks more as if it's actually in the background there. Yeah, and then I'm using the color selection tool again, picking the exact same blue color that I've used for the pants, and then just drawing them up. Um, and that's how you would go about doing that. And that's pretty much the same process as we did earlier when we drew the clothing for the facing down character. And yeah, there are far better ways of doing this, but I didn't want to make the beginner's guide too complicated, so I did it very basic. You can of course use layers, and there are many better ways of doing many things, but this is the simple to grasp method that I can think of. So I would recommend, if you're new to it, just start off experimenting. Don't be afraid to draw something wrong. Just keep copies and don't overwrite stuff you're happy with, and just keep trying until you learn new ways. And yeah, I'm counting on you to succeed over here. And this is interesting. Looks as it looks like he's changing the channel for her the free art on our Discord channel. The link is in the description, by the way. So just go to free art on our channel and you will find the image, and you can edit it as much as you like. Just even if you're not going to use them, it's a nice image to work on if you just want to practice on drawing pixel art. So just take the image, do whatever you want with it. And you're also welcome to stay on our channel if you're curious about the progress of A Broken Tale. Also, thank you for watching. This might not be the most professional tutorial you've seen, but it's nice that you have sticked around for the entire video. If you want to see more tutorials, make sure to tell us in the comments. A dislike if this is confusing and didn't make any sense. Join the Discord channel if you want, even if you just want to ask about RPG Maker. Feel free to, or any other game development software. Feel free to join the Discord channel for A Broken Tale and ask around, and we will be there for you. And yeah, there will be more episodes on this series on how to make custom art for RPG Maker. So I will cover everything from tile sets, sprites, to battle figures or enemies or whatever, so that you can make a game with your own art. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. I am here for you.